Thomas Bradwardine de Causa Dei, Episode 4. Deus enim summum bonum, quam et contestari videtur eius filius, Aristoteles in de mundo secundo sic dicens, potius aestimandum, quod et conveniens est, et magis optum Deo, et in alia translatione, melius autem, accipitur, quod et melius est, et Deo maxime conveniens. Et duodecum metaphysica unda quadriginta, Deus est unus, aeternus, infinitae nobilitatis. Et Boetius tertiae partis de consolatione philosophiae prosa decima, Deo nihil melius cogitari potest. As Bradwardine continues, he says, "For," this enim is explaining what's coming previously, so you'll have to watch episode 3, "for God is the highest good." Deus, of course, here is masculine singular nominative and the subject, summum bonum neuter singular nominative, and the predicate. For God is the highest good. Now, I had some trouble with this quam et, and here's my solution. I think quam here stands for something like quam rem, and we should take it to mean a fact that. Perhaps my viewers have a different opinion. Perhaps they can prove that I've not taken this properly. I'd be glad to be corrected. A fact that also, quam rem, his son, eius filius, meaning God's son, seems to testify to, contestari. So this is that God is the highest good is something that the Son of God, eius filius, also seems to support or give testimony to. Contestari here is the deponent first conjugation verb contestor, contestari. It's a compound, obviously, of cum and the deponent testor, to give witness to or to testify to. Then we have a stop here, a pause, and now we have some citations. Aristoteles, in his work De Mundo, chapter 2, I wondered first, is this meant to be the number 11? But Aristotle's De Mundo does not have that many sections, so I believe this is the Roman numeral 2. Aristotle in De Mundo chapter 2 says as follows, sic dicens, "It rather should be thought," and this of course is aestimandum est, and this is a gerundive. Aestimandum est, it's the passive periphrastic. We have first of all aestimo, aestimare, the first conjugation verb, and then we have an implicit est there. Rather, we ought to think that quod et conveniens est, et magis optum Deo. We ought rather to think that this thing, quod, and I think this is a reference to the summum bonum, which is mentioned before, we ought rather to think that the summum bonum is both suitable and it is very apt to God. So it's in keeping with and it's most suited or more suited to God, Deo. Now, conveniens here and optum are both neuter singular and nominative, so I am taking them as the predicate of quod. And then he continues and says, and in another translation, in alia translatione, it is taken in a better way, melius autem accipitur. It is received or expressed in a better way, namely quod, and I'm taking this here once again to refer to the summum bonum, which is mentioned up here. I could be wrong in this identification, and it could be that we are simply to take quod as the conjunction, which is often translated the fact that. That's a possibility, but we'll see. And in another translation, it is taken in a better way, melius autem accipitur, namely that the summum bonum is what is melius and is especially suitable to God. Here we have a dative masculine singular as before, in keeping with the optum and with the general meaning of the compound verb conveniens. Bradwardine has another proof from Aristotle, and he says in section 12 of the Metaphysics, or chapter 12, section 39 of Aristotle's Metaphysics, we read this, God is one, Deus est unus. He is eternal, and he is infinitae nobilitatis, of inexhaustible nobility or highness. So infinitae nobilitatis is feminine singular, and genitive, this would be a genitive of characteristic, and unus and aeternus, of course, are masculine singular and nominative as predicates of deus. And finally, Boethius, section 3, on the consolation of philosophy. So consolat here is the feminine singular ablative, consolatione, like so, and philosoph, of course, is the feminine singular genitive. This is the title of his work, The Comfort of Philosophy, De Consolatione Philosophiae. And Boethius, in section 3, or chapter 3 of his Consolation of Philosophy, paragraph 10, prose 10, this is what he says. Nothing better than God can be conceived, cogitari potest. So this is an early instance, you might say, of the ontological argument, which was later to be developed by Anselm. Deo here is a masculine, singular, and ablative, and it's an ablative of comparison. So nothing better than God, Deo nihil melius, can be thought of, cogitari. And cogitari, of course, is an infinitive, first conjugation infinitive, and it is in the passive voice. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed that free lesson. Please like and subscribe, hit the bell. You can also become a patron at patreon.com/LatinPerDiem. And if you really loved it, you can leave a tip right here as a super fan. Thank you so much.